this breaking news that came out that Jim Jordan has launched an investigation into essentially evidence tampering in the Jack Smith case. So that's the case, obviously, involving the documents that were seized in Mar-a-Lago that were claimed to be obviously classified documents or top secret documents that should not have left the White House. But as we have learned and as things have progressed now, it seems the claim coming from Jim Jordan is that these were mishandled. Of course, the mishandling of the mishandled documents. And I guess, Harry, I'd love to hear from you what this means for the American people and what this means for the Trump situation currently.
Well, thanks. So given the indisputable evidence showing that boxes of evidence seized by the FBI at Mar-a-Lago last year have been tampered with, and given Special Counsel Jack Smith's admission that there were boxes of evidence where the order of the items within the box is not the same as the associated scans, and also given the fact that Jack Smith has admitted that his previous representation to the federal court was inaccurate, I think we can safely conclude that Jack Smith has tampered with or mishandled classified documents. And so then the question becomes, should he now charge himself with mishandling classified documents? But of course, it's even worse than that. Why? Because there's evidence on the record suggesting that Jack Smith's office attempted to tamper with a witness. How? By offering a lawyer for the witness, basically a judgeship, if the lawyer got the witness to cooperate with Jack Smith. So in some respects, the question becomes, should Jack Smith be charged? And secondarily, do we now live in a banana republic?
Yeah, exactly. When bribery starts to become the easy way to do business, it seems, in these situations. I don't care for that. I don't like that. I'm sure people listening don't want to hear from you. When you hear these claims, what do you think? 1-800-684-3110. Because not only now do you have, like you said, this sort of tampering of the evidence, maybe it was mishandled. What does that look like? And not unlike some of the Trump situations, it seems like because it was President Trump, it was handled with haste. It was handled maybe a bit sloppy because they were just trying to get him. And that can bite you, especially in the law.
Well, everyone remembers the famous photo where they staged it and made it look like the FBI fanned out all these documents and took the photo and released it of, look at all these documents. It's so disorganized. Yeah. Right, but it wasn't that. Right. That was a staged photo by the FBI after that raid. But it also goes to show that this is kind of the MO for the FBI and de facto the Special Counsel's office when it comes to this operation and this investigation. And as Harry pointed out, I want the listening audience to remember, this isn't just an allegation at this point. One of the main reasons that Jim Jordan is now sending this letter to the Office of Personal Responsibility at the Department of Justice is that when the lawyer for the defendant raised this question, said, hey, you gave us evidence, is what you have to do when you're defending a client. You have to look through the evidence to build your case, and said, something's awry here. These scans don't match up with the evidence boxes you've given and like the list of what's in it doesn't. But then Jack Smith had to file a response in court when this motion was raised, admitting to that yes, some of these things, and our previous statement to the court, which was that all the boxes were in their original intact form as seized, was an inaccurate representation to the court. So they even admitted that so they're already doing this
wrong. It's not just an investigation it is an investigation, but it's not just an investigation. They've already essentially admitted the truth, which is these were handled incorrectly, that the report that they received, labeling, again, what boxes each document was in and so on, was not how it ended up. And now they're having to potentially face some consequences. And that's why there are people like Jim Jordan in there to make sure things get done.
Absolutely. So Jack Smith has essentially condemned himself. And so then the question becomes, what will the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility do to ensure that department attorneys perform their duties in accordance with the highest professional standards? The DOJ has demanded that former President Trump basically handle the documents consistent with the highest, quote-unquote, professional standards. Right. But nonetheless, the DOJ itself has mishandled the documents, and they've admitted they mishandled the documents. And so one of the things that I think should happen, at least potentially, is that the judge should hold a hearing and perhaps consider throwing out at least some of the charges related to the mishandling of evidence by Jack Smith.
Well, and Harry, that's a question I had for you, because after this kind of broke in that filing, there's also reporting from CNN that Trump's attorneys are indicating that they're going to file a motion with Judge Eileen Cannon, who has been seen as one of the more favorable to the defense judges of all the Jack Smith cases, but probably just the most fair judge that has been drawn in one of these cases. But they're indicating they're going to file a motion to dismiss prosecution if they cannot prove in a reliable way how they seized and handled key evidence in the case, which would be central to the issues at trial. Do you think that that's an opportunity here, that this could get thrown out before it even makes it to trial?
I think that's possible, certainly with respect to some of the charges, if not all of the charges. And I think it's also imperative to remember how differently the DOJ under Jack Smith is handling the case against Donald Trump, and how differently the special counsel investigating Joe Biden handled classified documents with respect to the Biden affair. Remember, Joe Biden kept basically classified documents in a garage with his Corvette.
As you do.
Yes, I guess as you do. Yeah. And Joe Biden has admitted that he shared these classified documents with an individual who was not vetted or did not have permission to review those documents. Why? Because Joe Biden had an $8 million contract to write a book. So one of the things that I think the American people can clearly see is a differential in treatment, right, which suggests that the DOJ is not complying with professional standards or the standards of justice.
100%. I think people can definitely see a double standard there. They can see me treated very differently, whether it's President Trump or, frankly, anyone else, much less President Biden. Let's go to Randy, who's calling in Ohio on line 1. Randy, you're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call. I just wondered from the very beginning, when they came in, there were some oddities. They threw out Trump's attorneys when they raided Mar-a-Lago. They asked that the cameras be turned off. That in itself indicates something nefarious or out of the ordinary. Just good for Jim Jordan. I mean, this thing should be thrown out. They've tampered with evidence. It should be gone.
Well, I think that is important, Randy. I think you're right to say thank you to Jim Jordan. I think there are people out there that are still in Washington, D.C., who are still doing a job with morals and authority and actually trying to make sure things are handled correctly. He's one of them. I do think that's rare in Washington, D.C., on both sides of the aisle, that you actually have people who are willing to take some risks and make some, maybe make some enemies along with making some friends. But it's important, Will, to have people like Jim Jordan in those situations to stand up, because this could have easily just breezed past. And I'm sure that's what they were hoping for. They said they filed a motion or whatever it is and said, hey, it's not exactly true. We were a little off. We mishandled some documents. No big deal, right? But no, you have someone like Jim Jordan out there doing his job.
That's right. And as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, it is his job to perform this oversight of the Department of Justice. And he's asking for very specific things from the DOJ and the Office of Professional Responsibility.
All right, what we got?
They want all documents and communications referring or related to any allegation of ethical impropriety or any OPR investigation concerning the conduct of Jack Smith, Jay Bratt, or any other attorney. All documents and communications referring or relating to the manipulation of documents seized from President Trump's residence in Mar-a-Lago, and all documents and communications referring or relating to Jay Bratt's interactions with Walt Nauda's defense counsel, including allegations that Bratt attempted to coerce Mr. Nauda's cooperation. And that's the judgeship issue that Harry was referencing earlier. And he gave a deadline for all these documents no later than 5 p.m. on May 20th.
That's right. A pretty quick turnaround.
That's right.
For the government, incredibly quick turnaround.
And that will provide them with their oversight and whether or not they can do criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, ironically. They can withhold funding. They can do a lot of things because Congress does have this oversight role.